Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Shout out to everybody in the chat. My goodness. Shout out to you guys. Tinkle Tits McGee has gifted 10 memberships. Tinkle Tits, thank you so much for supporting my channel. You know, I love my Tinkle Tits. Shout out to everybody. Thank you guys. All my beautiful, wonderful mods in the chat, all my members. Y'all are awesome. Ooh, one sec. I hear myself in the other screen. I'm like, oh, I'm not trying to hear myself. Welcome, everybody. You said we need a dog with a rabbit head emoji. So it's Sunday. It's a beautiful Sunday, at least on my end of the world. I hope you guys are having a fabulous Sunday. This hair is like really doing it's like waving at y'all. See how this is gonna bug me. One sec. Y'all don't let me, please don't let me come out like this. You guys gotta say something. Okay? I can't, a messy bun has to be not so messy. See, this one is like waving y'all. All right. See that? It's like saying, hey, girl. There we go. Maybe. I'm just gonna have to get over it. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Jojo, thank you for becoming a member. Tricky Vicky has been a member for 8 months. Oh my God, Tricky Vicky. Shout out to you, love. Thank you for being so supportive of me. Jojo, y'all are awesome and amazing. How you guys doing? All right, guys, we gonna get started. We're gonna hit that ground running right away. You didn't notice the hair. I did. I did. Okay. Now let me just give a little PSA, okay? Because somebody came in my comments and you know, this is not the first comment that I get like this, and I think it's important that I say something real quick about this and just very important, right? Somebody came in my comments and said, love your channel and regularly scheduled programming, but the repetitive back and forth drama with Scientologists isn't necessary. I'm surprised you're still acknowledging the dog slash flea comments after this long. We all know they're just trying to get under your skin, and their digs at you aren't substantial. Okay. You're a great creator. Stay focused. Don't let them distract you out of stuff. Again, love your channel. Just saying this as a viewer. All right. There's other content that I do. So you don't have to watch this. Please note that. I hate the comments. I'm just not that I hate y'all. I have your comments, but to me, let's be genuine about this. Anytime you start with "I love," but um, it's almost like you're disregarding the fact that I didn't just say I was going to do one or two videos of Miriam or any other victim for that matter that wants to have their voice heard. If I have to have 100 videos done on this situation, by God, I will do them. But you know what? I find it very interesting that if you love my channel, I don't ever really see you in my other content. We just covered some true crime. You might want to check that out. You don't have to watch this because I don't just cover SPTV. I cover true crime. There's some societal issues that I cover. There's a lot of other things that I bring up. So for me, it's like you say you love my channel. That's fine. But you don't like this part, then don't. Don't watch. Log off. Don't give me the view. It's okay. Watch the other stuff, right? Because you can still love the other stuff. I think what really gets to me is like as a somebody who has worked with victims, it's so sad to me when a victim is telling their story or wants somebody to continuously stand behind them, right? Then you're there, you're the same face. An advocate doesn't just go away. They don't just say, hey, we're done. We're done for now. Clearly, you're bored. Clearly, this is drama. We're done for now. Like, let me just move on for your sake when there's other videos that I have yet to see you at. All right. I just want to point that out. Yes, yes. You know that I love your channel, but I love you, but no offense, but that kind of comment that you're just like, where they're going with it. So, yeah, thank you. Okay. Moving on, moving on, moving on. So there's a couple things I want to talk about before we even really start giving commentary to this video. I didn't know that Mike Rinder had made some responses to um, Miriam's allegations through another platform. My understanding is that this happened on Patreon and it was, behind this paid wall, just like this video is monetized. I just want to make sure because Patreon, you also get clicks and views. You're also going to get clicks and views there. So just, you know, making sure that we all understand that this is clicks and views, right? In terms of how information goes out there, that this is YouTube, that I am a monetized channel. Yeah. I'm going to do what I do every day, all day, without permission and unapologetically. Um, I heard today, let me know in the comments, is it true that today is like what is it? Something women's y'all, is it the Jezebel's Day today? Which one is it? Let me know in the chat. It's a very special day today, my understanding. I could be wrong, but let me know. You said it's called addressing the repetitive behavior that needs to change by anyone. Anybody gets a pass for disrespect or abuse. It's a very special day today. Thank you so much, Psych Sauce. Important comment. I will address it. There's other videos y'all can watch if you don't like it. Okay. It's Palm Sunday. It is. It is. Thank you. Oh, look at this. I'm a retired MSW social worker. I understand the human condition in a way that I think you do too. Yes. Thank you. I heard it's like Jezebel's Day. Google it. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. So we're going to get into it. I think it's important. If it is that day and Palm Sunday, well, holy, blessed all the females out there, all the crazy females out there that don't sit there, that make history. Blessed are you for that. All right. And it's Palm Sunday. All right. And it's Sunday. Yes, today's Palm Sunday, folks. Okay, but there was another day today, like something is supposed to be special about today. Okay, let me get it together. You Google it, mustard. Let me know in the chat. Shout out to you guys. Okay, you want to see my papers? All right, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I thought I'd give people the time to get in here. March is National Women's History Month. There you go. Let's make some history. You said Jezebels are not a good person. I don't know. I mean, that's not what I heard. I heard that I mean, listen, I'm not gonna go back and forth on that, but it is Palm Sunday. Okay. Shout out to everybody. Okay. Every day, every day. How you doing? All right, everybody's in here for the most part. Shout out to everybody. Let's get it together. Let's talk a little bit. So yesterday I want to shout out Marilyn. Thank you, Marilyn, for sending me some snippet, some email communication and whatnot. It's been confirmed, I guess. I'm not the flea, I'm the dog. The rabid dog. That's what I am, That's who I am. And Mike Rinder would have been no better had he somewhat answered the questions, gave a statement, which is what the email said initially. Please note that. Um, it was said in the email. We didn't just want to come up and, say a bunch of things and not have him give a statement, right? The questions were very hard. I'll give you that. I probably wouldn't have answered them. I probably would have just given a statement. And I've said that before time and time again. But the questions are pointed and they're there for a reason. So I find it interesting that Mr. John Atek, who by the way is one of he is a bestie. He's a bestie and also a board member, right? I find it interesting that, somehow he says, and this is in the description, Mirriam Francis asked John to put some questions to Mike Rinder. Here are his responses. Now, does he answer all the questions? No. Are all these questions the ones that Mirriam had? I don't think so. Clearly, to me, a statement would have sufficed. Something would have been done. It would have been what it was. It was definitely, Graham, like a very interesting interview, I would say. And I don't even know. I think it's a conversation because typically when a person is interviewing, you have to let the other person respond. You have to actually let the other person respond and not try to fill in the gaps or the holes to certain things, right? That's just my thought. So I was sent a bunch of screenshots. This is where I was going with Marilyn. Shout out to Marilyn. And Marilyn, I want to thank her again. You guys go check out her channel. I believe she did a review of the actual email, which is fantastic. And I was reading what she was sending me. And one of the things in that body of that email, I guess it said, this is what Mike Rinder was saying. He says, I have gained nothing from the many, many hours I've spent helping Mike Brown. Mike Brown is the other uh, um, SPTV creator who has spoken out. He's done some really great coverage with his mother Rosemary. Okay, elderly abuse, a lot of great topics. You got in Scientology. Please check his channel out. He says, I have gained nothing from the many, many hours I've spent helping Mike Brown and Rosemary. Neither has Claire. On the other hand, Mike and Rosemary not only got their refund from Scientology because I found lawyers for them, they also got more money from the foundation than anyone else in the history. And yet, we are supposedly trying to take advantage of them? Question mark. Right. First of all, it's not your money. If you're in a foundation, if you're in government, you don't write emails. Discrepancy and discretion in terms of who has received more money in the foundation as a whole is probably something like, why are you saying this? It's not your money. It's not like, all right, I signed it off. This person got most money. It's not your money to say any of this. None of this it's not yours. And yet we're supposedly trying to take advantage of them. Y'all were trying to do a scripted Hollywood thing. Okay. That's what it looked like. Using Miss Rosemary's story. That's what came out of that. Shout out to Kelly Copter, who's also given more information about that. In my opinion, it's so crazy because a couple weeks ago I did a video where I talked about, wow, good job Aftermath Foundation. Y'all got some new members. It's great. Great job Aftermath Foundation for getting some new, maybe they're trauma informed, maybe they're this, maybe they're that. And boy, am I wrong. Yet again. Somebody hand me the crow so I can eat it at this point. I just couldn't. When he said, I said, anyways. So he said, they're supposedly we're trying to take advantage of them. Okay. He says, Mike Brown then stirred up Mirriam Francis to attack me with false claims. I was engaged in criminal activity. He did her a massive disservice as she has destroyed her credibility as a witness against her father by falsely accusing me of crimes. One of few corroborating witnesses she had for her possible cases. So, and I was so confused because I had to think about this. It says, oh, wait a minute. So the victim has lost credibility because she feels like you knew something was up in terms of her case. So the victim has lost credibility because somehow you knew or you know information that was important, that is important. Somehow the victim has lost credibility. I just want to know how that works exactly. You have I listen. I don't even know what to say. I really don't. When I saw that email, I was like, wait a minute. So somehow you've made that about you in that message. Mike Brown then stirred up Mirriam. because Miriam can't think for herself, y'all. Nobody can. And she has questions. To attack me with false claims. Oh, I was engaged in criminal activities. Oh, well, I'm sorry, yo. Scientology is a criminal activity. A lot of the shit that's happening behind everything that's going on there is a criminal activity. Children being in Scientology, that is a criminal activity. A lot of the information out there, even though there are no penal codes or people haven't been prosecuted as they need to be, doesn't mean that they're not engaged in any kind of criminal activity. I do find it weird to me that somebody who has sat in this position, the head of OSA, for so many years, how somebody like that isn't somehow intertwined with something else. I just don't know, right? Like, even if there's like a cartel or so, even in the Catholic Church, people were prosecuted for not speaking up or for not saying stuff. That's the piece that I don't quite understand. It's like nobody is saying that Mike Rinder took the place of Miriam's perpetrator. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that people feel like you have yet to really say the things that you want to say. Case in point, let me give you guys an example. Okay. In the communication emails that we've disclosed here between Mike Rinder and Miriam, why was Mike Rinder so worried about being recorded in that phone call? Why? Why was he so heavy on trying to ask making sure that law enforcement, that was a piece that they were aware of? Okay, I don't think she can record unless she was given permission by law enforcement to record my calls. What does it matter? What does it matter if the calls were recorded or not? Help me understand why that would even matter. Can anybody explain that to me? That's the piece that it confused a lot of us. A lot of us wanted to know this. But somehow the victim loses credibility because she can't think for herself. Okay, right. Okay, that's beautiful. That's adorable. So, it says we've all felt somewhat helpless in being able to defend our spouses. As for the dogs and fleas, yes, not good. But this was us trying to get someone disconnected to respond to the insanity that was being directed to us. Alex, the rabbit, had no interest in helping victims of Scientology, right? Because my name has to be Mike Rinder in order for me to help victims of anybody, of Scientology, of anybody. My name has to be Mike Rinder or Leah Remini, right? Or I have to be an executive in order for me to have helped or to have some level of interest. Is that the case? She's getting clicks. You're right. There's about 700 people here. You guys clicked it. If you don't want to watch, don't watch. Please note that. In this instance, she's the dog. And had I responded to her, I would have been guilty no matter what I said. Okay. She would have been guilty no matter what. Okay. Because we're not deciding guilt or anything like that at this point. There's some answers. There's some questions, answers that need to be you know, the victim is wanting to know more. That's what that is. That's what that was. Okay. Um, let's see what else what was said. Da, 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 da. Again, you guys check out Marilyn's video if you guys want to know more. We're trying to find people who will join the board so we can get on with our lives. You have no idea the toll it's taken on all of us, especially the women. We know we now have some candidates to take over the board, but it's not an easy sell. Well, there you go. It's not an easy sell. The problem with the board is that you guys have made this very Hollywoodish. I'm kind of wondering because the way in which you guys are, especially on this money part, this shit really got to me where you're talking about, well, he's the highest person that we've ever helped. We paid more money for them. It's not your money. It's not your money. That's where it's supposed to go. right? Just makes you wonder. Anyway, so this is the channel. Let me just a bit of criticism here, along with a lot of other criticism, but I find it very interesting that Mr. John here you're talking. You got Mirriam on the title, Mirriam Francis allegations, but you don't have her channel on here. You're talking about the out like why don't you telling people where they can go find Mirriam? You got Child USA. You got some other sources here. You got Mike's blog and the Aftermath Foundation. Why aren't you linking Miriam's channel there, Mr. ATAC? But who am I? Yeah, seriously, like you don't. I'm the dog over here. All right.
Yes, that's correct. Obviously,
it would be deeply irrational.
Deeply irrational.
Yes,
I mean, but you were in
would.
Scientology, so
I have done irrational things in my life, John. I continue to do irrational things.
Yes, you
but
do.
that one would take some real like I'd have to be hit over the head a few times with a hammer before that would be something that I wouldn't recognize was not probably the brightest move.
Let's go.
And in this specific case of Mirriam Francis, Mirriam has said that she filed charges in 2012 in Australia against her abusive father.
Okay.
And in 2017, she was flown by A&E from Australia to Los Angeles to do an Aftermath show in the second season, I think. And you and Leah sat down with her and said, "We think you should report this to the LAPD." And
John, why don't you let Mike talk? I think that's the biggest. Let him talk. He can fill in these blanks.
And took her to the police. So you'd be doubly stupid if you were actually getting somebody who you had some involvement in harming to report this thing and then going and campaigning. So this is a serious contradiction if such a thing has happened.
Yes, serious.
Mirriam has said, and this has all happened very rapidly. It's only, I think, on Saturday that I saw this, and I asked Mirriam to.
So this is when I found out that this had already been recorded clearly weeks before. I believe it was uploaded on a Patreon and then uploaded on YouTube just this weekend.
To send me a statement she read out on escaping down the rabbit hole. And
my channel's name is Escaping Down the Rabbit Hole Now, right? That's my channel's name. Okay, sure.
Feels that, from that statement, she was bullied into making a statement and going into details of her abuse. And we have to have sympathy for that.
By the show?
Yeah.
The show bullied her into making statements?
The producer insisted on having more details than she was willing to offer at the time.
Okay.
And it's for her to judge how she feels about that.
Of course.
But we have to say that she'd been flown from Australia. She knew she was there to talk about it. Having dealt with victims of abuse myself a fair few times over the last 40 years.
He has dealt with victims of abuse himself. It's great. So how are you putting this into a compartment where you understand that your friend, who you've been friends with for a couple of years, it sounds like you've talked to that about 13 times, 13 conversations. You've known him, I think he said like 4 years. You've known him never to tell a lie. How are you putting that into a compartment where you can understand Mirriam, the delicacy of Mirriam's story? How does that work, given that you got like 40 plus years of working with victims? Isn't that interesting? Let me tell you something. I don't think I could really interview somebody who it just wouldn't really make sense to me. Because if that's the case, then you might as well just say, I'm doing PR work for my friend, and I'm also a board member with my friend on the same foundation. Meaning, I'm also going to be deciding who gets what money the next time somebody puts in an application, right? And if somehow you're friends with Aaron Smith Levin, or you've done content about Aaron Smith Levin, or you've spoken very ill about me, that could very well affect your monies, right? And it's so crazy to me because it's like they could have done this without even really mentioning Aaron or like even that. But really, I think you guys are very salty that you can't even see beyond that.
There is this difficult situation that once somebody has said, okay, I'm going to go on TV, then they have exposed themselves to, you know, put themselves in a serious situation. That moves us over to Mirriam is making assertions herself about what happened. The other case,
and this is a great comment, says V-Bomb. Comment, I get the support, but I don't like the people bashing. You don't know what they've gone through to express their actions, right? I would say the same about Mirriam too, right? Isn't that correct? Right? Let's keep playing.
that she's mentioning, and as she says, she spent 12 years so far researching this. There are only 2 cases that have come up so far. So I would say that if there are any other cases, please get hold of Mirriam. Please tell her about your situation.
Yes, tell her.
If you have a situation with regard to Scientology, and perhaps something can come together under her direction and with her help to show, who did what and when, because we would like to see that. We'd like to see anybody who is culpable, anybody who is guilty, brought to justice. But the only other case in which she has brought up your name is that of Carmen Rayner. Carmen went on TV with Steve Kinane, the excellent journalist, Steve, and excellent human being, frankly, Steve Kinane, who wrote the book Fair Game, which is a brilliant analysis of the bizarre history of Scientology in Australia. I helped Steve with that book, and at that time I was very
John, I really need you not to make this about you for a minute. Like I said, this isn't, you're not being attacked. I mean, people might have something to say about you now, kind of doing what you're doing now, but this isn't about what books you wrote or anything. Sir, listen, if I Google search your name, I get it. You got a lot of insight. And if I wanted an interview with you, that's what you would do. You'd reach out and tell me about the books that you wrote. Tell me what's going on. This isn't about you. Don't fill in the blanks for somebody, especially when you say that Mirriam Francis asked John to put some questions to Mike Rinder. Who's answering their questions, John or Mike? Which one is it?
Outside that would, quote,
Let's go.
distract me from dealing with the Lisa McPherson case.
Okay.
And when I was the LRH Purse PRO, the one thing that I always did throughout my various different positions in Scientology was when there was major international media, I would be called upon to go and deal with it. When the Today Show, when, 60 Minutes, when whatever, like big stuff, the New York Times, I would be called to do it.
I mean, we saw Mike Rinder up there, right? We definitely did. I mean, he was there lobbying, he was there up in front, he was there making sure, he had such a sure face. I mean, he was there, right? We've seen a lot of that old material from various networks. Okay.
But I and I was, for that reason, sort of always identified with the external affairs of Scientology, because I was very publicly the face and spokesperson after David Miscavige decided that Heba Jench was no longer going to be the talking head for Scientology.
Okay, let's go.
So even though I may have been the commanding officer of CMO International, or the LRH Purse Bureau International, or a book editor, or in the whole, I was always still pulled away from whatever it was that I was doing to go do media. And it makes it appear to everybody or anybody, or can be turned into the appearance that I was always involved in all the things that were going on in Scientology.
And let's play devil's advocate here, just for a little bit. Let's just say that because of the role, this vital role that Mike Rinder played during this whole time with Scientology, right? The defender of Scientology, the public relations person of Scientology, everything, right? I can understand where people are feeling like, well, you owe more to this because you're responding, especially in various crises, right? But even this attempt to try to what's the word? Even this attempt to try to really put this out there that he wasn't at all involved with everything. You know, he's just bringing some knowledge here and there. He only ran away with a couple documents and a thumb drive and everything. I mean, it still leaves a lot of unanswered questions that Miriam and a lot of other uh, people, a lot of children from Scientology, they have, right? So you kind of have to wonder, um, are people just going crazy here? Yeah, thank you, good egg. It's this minimization of, listen, I was really right here, and then there was this Lisa McPherson thing that was going on, and I was the face. Yes, he probably wasn't all involved in everything, right? He's releasing names to a certain degree. But I'm also feeling like you got a CYA all the time in that position, right? Like, come on now. I left my job of 10 years working for the government. If I had done something in government and messed up in government royalty, just royally real badly, even though I left the position, it's almost been 2 years now. Even though I left, I could still be held liable for whatever work I did before, right? People can still come after me if I had harmed someone in that position, if I had failed to do something. Yeah, people can still come after me civilly, even criminally. It doesn't just say, all right, I'm done. I've seen people get in trouble being in positions like that. It's very scary. So to me, it's like, well, this is why you have to be as transparent as possible when it comes to a lot of things. I just find it so interesting that you would go about saying, why is this call being recorded? Or is this call being recorded? Because that was his question to Miriam. We're so worried about that. And then here we are, we see this other Mike Rinder. So I just don't know. I guess I'm just confused. I'm confused about a lot of stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. And then here comes John, who, is also trying to help out. Of course, you can't be the one doing it all. But mind you, he's here because Mirriam Francis asked John to put some questions to Mike Rinder. And I'm still trying to figure out, when are we going to get some answers? This is very political. This is very PR. This is very Dan Schneider and Boogie all over again this week. I thought I was done with that. Okay. Apparently not. Apparently not.
with respect to external affairs. That just isn't the case. And it when you were talking about Miriam,
Mm-hmm.
I the one thing that I had done with respect to Miriam that I felt so terrible about was
Yes.
I was the person that brought Miriam's mother to the United States.
Yeah.
I brought her because
And her dad abused her sexually, horrible things. Let's acknowledge that, right?
she was a very um, well-known and lauded portrait artist.
You're right.
She's a fine artist, a painter.
We know that.
And I was charged with the job of updating the What is Scientology book as the LRH Purse Bureau in. And I don't know if you remember, John, in the original What is Scientology book, the paintings of the life of L. Ron Hubbard are laughably amateurish.
I don't know why we're showing this crap right here. Okay, so then he says, I apologize to her profusely and yada yada yada. Okay, let's just keep going.
Complicated, material I have on Charles Manson comes out of one of those boxes,
Right.
showing his deep involvement with Scientology, which they really didn't want people to know. And there's also the operation where they sought to persuade the world that he'd been involved in the Process Church of the Final Judgment under the de Grimstons, a splinter group from Scientology. He may well have had contact with that group. Nobody that, I've spent a year researching this. I've not seen any direct statement that he did, but I have got the Operation Scientology put out to say, let's blame it on them so that we don't get blamed. You also have the Simon Bolivar policy, the responsibilities of leaders, where Hubbard says, you don't have to tell people what you're doing. You can protect me by going and doing horrible crimes without me ever being blamed because I didn't whisper in your ear and tell you to do this. So
isn't this interesting? I feel like we're seeing a mirror of what's happening too. Like, crazy, right?
you've got what is virtually a mafia culture where
A
people are
mafia
not
culture.
any longer reporting these things because those reports may be discovered. So, as you say, in your situation would be that you might have several post titles at the same time and be dealing with thousands of instances. Now, when it comes to Mirriam Francis, I think the significant events were in the late 1990s, at a time when you said that the only thing you were working on was Lisa McPherson. because the Lisa McPherson case could have brought Scientology down and should have brought it down.
All right, and here we go. This, like, you're filling in the blanks. But yet you're here. Let me remind you again. Mirriam Francis asked John to put some questions to Mike Rinder. Here are his responses. Are they Mike Rinder's responses or are they John Atag's responses? Right? Way to slap Mirriam in the face. Vintage Mama says, so thank you for the $10. So Aaron was kicked out because Mike is the face of the Aftermath Foundation. So he is the aftermath, according to him. So in the same respect, you are the face of Scientology back then. So does that make you Scientology? Just asking, Mike. Thank you so much, Vintage Mama. I mean, that's a point to make. You kind of have to wonder, right? So while John Atag is answering for Mike these questions.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
Lisa McPherson died in the custody of Scientology in Clearwater under the instruction of David Miscavige. She had ligature marks on her ankles and her wrists.
We know
she died of
this.
dehydration and, basically locked up in the Scientology faculty. She'd had a manic episode. She was bipolar. And rather than allow it, she was taken away from psychiatric treatment, which would have calmed her down. They know how to do that.
By the Citizens Commission on Human Rights.
Exactly, by this same organization with the oxymoronic name.
Don't they complement each other just so well? I mean, this is great, right? Like, it's like Dan and Boogie again all over. I cannot. Tico Tits, thank you so much for the $20. He says, I quit social media for a few months earlier this year because of the Scientology coverage. I only started back up on YouTube because I'm financially stable to do it. They used to dox me at my work. Jesus, Tinkle. Thank you, Tinkle Tits, for the $20. You know, you are appreciated and loved, whether you don't need to always give financially. Please note that. You know, we love you here. You've been a great, solid supporter of me, ride or die, finances or not. You know that, okay? Aren't they both very arrogant?
So I can understand from my position, as somebody who's been a historian of this subject for 40
Oh, Lord. Yeah, he's a historian, y'all.
years. Those reports don't exist. The idea that everything is known by some person, it's come to the point where it's impossible to know everything that happens on a daily
Can't know
basis.
everything.
So let me move to specific and simple questions. I hate to do this, Mike, because you are my friend, but
I like simple questions, and he hates to do it because you are my friend. I hate that I have to ask you this. But then again, I'm over here doing this. Mirriam Francis asked John to put some questions to Mike Rinder. Here are his responses. But I hate to do this because you're my friend.
But have you ever criminally assaulted a child?
No.
Wait, has he ever been criminally convicted of any of this? Why is that question relevant? When has Mirriam come out here and said that Mike Rinder assaulted her as a child? Why is this an important question? Please tell me in the chat. Because if there was a record of such, we would have found it, right? We would have talked about it, right? So whoever brought this up, I know I didn't. I know Mirriam did it.
No.
No.
No, I have not ever.
Well, there you go.
I wouldn't dream of such a thing.
Exactly.
John,
There
I
you go.
consider that I sort of criminally assaulted my children by having them born into the Sea Org. Honestly, that is, perhaps the biggest regret in my life.
I find this interesting that his answer says, I have sort of assaulted my children because of, them being in the Sea Org and everything. Okay, well, that's your children. What about the other children that are there currently? You see, that is that level of what's it called, advocacy and being an activist, where you're calling this out and you're saying, like, this is there's still children in there. There's still children stuck in there. So when Serge Del Mar, which I find it very interesting that y'all don't even mention a lot of that advocacy, you guys look away and talk about, and I'll say it again, Tom Cruise, because he happens to be mentioned in these files, right? When people say they're criticizing you because of the way and what you're bringing on or what you're talking about. If you want to talk about Scientology, anybody can talk about it. But when you're at an executive level, when you were at that executive level and your decision making or knowledge, or at least you sat next to the devil himself at the dinner table, yeah, you do have a level of responsibility to say, I'm not gonna my advocacy is for those children because I fucked up my own kids being in this organization, right? So even this right here, I'm glad that he said this, but I also feel like you're not really getting at the issue at hand. There's so many children out there that don't have a choice. There's other children out there that are now adults that didn't have a choice. Sir, you do owe them something, okay? An acknowledgement. You do owe them that. Kaylee Ann, thank you so much for the 999. It's like it's like he's a witness stand trying to get out of something based on a legal loophole instead of actually addressing the main and current issues of or helping the actual victims. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you. That's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this is. So if you can acknowledge the fact that, yeah, horrible abuse, that I did this to my kids because I put them there and everything, and here I am, you still owe more to the community, to those children. Marilyn, thank you so much for your $10. You were so awesome. Thank you all for all that you do. Dog or rabbit, you're amazing. So appreciate it. I'll be the rabbit, I don't know, a rabbit dog at this point. Chris says, comment, this is not a good faith response to Mirriam. This is him trying to play victim. Right. That's how I see it. Right? But hey, who am I?
But I have never laid a hand on a child. I have
That's not the
never
question.
engaged in any
Well,
sexual
his question.
activities with a child. I've never engaged in anything.
That we never said that. I don't know why he's bringing this up. Was this Miriam's question that John, I don't know. Could be. I don't know.
Even remotely like that. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
And let me go on record to say the same is true for me. I have.
John, nobody cares because nobody asked you. That's like when I interviewed Mirriam, it's like if I said, well, Mirriam, that same is for me because it happened to me. No, nobody asked you that. Nobody asked you.
I have 4 children. I have never spanked or smacked any of them.
That's
I've
great.
only raised my voice to them a few times over the
That's
years.
wonderful.
I believe that there is a sanctity there, that children deserve to be protected. So
that's yeah, okay. I don't know what to say about this, y'all. I don't know. Nobody asked you, right, Shannon? I mean, tell them. Hashtag nobody asked you. John, whose interview is it? Nobody asked you. John. Okay. Now, let me just say this. I know that I can be animated about stuff. I know that I can drop a couple of curse words, several curse words, right? I know I can get very passionate. But please note that I understand the seriousness of this. It just really bothers me and boggles my mind how 2 adults that say to have helped victims and really are taking this on the way that they're taking it on. It's like nobody gets it. Nobody gets it, yo. And it frustrates me for all the victims, for Mirriam, but for all the victims. It really does. Because these are the faces, former executives, supporter executives, apologists that are sitting in this board that are counting. Well, I signed your paperwork when you got that $10,000 for, whatever it was. Why are you speaking out against me? You got the most money. This is what bothers me. Like I said, it's how I deal with this rage that I feel because of this slap in the face bullshit that it is, because it is a slap in the face. I can only do so much. I can't get through the screen and get on anybody. I can't. So please know that I'm coming from a place, I know I'm being very passive aggressive, but it's coming from a place of just being utterly frustrated for victims. Okay? Let's get it
mothers,
together.
perhaps, of Tony Storm's victims not to go to the authorities.
No.
Okay, wait.
Isn't it, when we get down to it?
Hold up. Let me get back over here.
Um,
They shared about books, yada, yada, yada. Y'all can watch the full interview. It's in the description box. See, John, at least I did you a solid one. I put your interview in the description box. You could have put Mirriam's channel in the description box as well. Okay?
Carrie painted every one of these pictures. She's not given any credit.
no.
Yeah,
L. Ron
great.
Hubbard is the source of everything in Scientology, Mike.
Right.
Okay. She says, were you involved in dissuading the mother of Tony Strawn's victims not to go, mothers perhaps, of Tony Strawn's victims not to go to the authorities?
No.
No. It's very simple, this, isn't it, when we get down to it?
Yeah.
She asked, and I think we've already answered that, so I'm not going to ask it. And in fact, that's all I have on that particular one.
Oh, wow. She already asked that. I'm not going to answer it. Let's move on. Okay.
She's this weekend. She sent to me and emailed me and said that you'd made public the LAPD report that she made.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I put it on.
Yeah, I got her name. Her. What's so crazy? When I found out about that, I was like, first of all, I had never seen the report before. Please note that. It was her all identified information. Mike Rinder is right. You could FOIA these reports, but as somebody who encouraged her to report, the abuse, who sat there and was there with production companies and whatever, and essentially was an advocate, right, at that moment, because that's the role that you play right then and there. To have somebody do that to you, it's like if I decide all the people that I've talked to before I was on YouTube, I decided to post all their police reports on a website, because it's a FOIA, because I can. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should, right? Cash, thank you so much for the 9.99. This is the Escaping the Dog Burrow channel. I know, right? Thanks, Cash. Banco, thank you so much for the 9.99. What is the point of this ridiculous conversation? More of the same nonsense from a person who wants to be off social media. Well, does he? Because I was a little surprised. He did this shortly after the drop of that conversation that we did that live. So I don't know who it doesn't seem like he's somebody that wants to be off. It looks to me like he really wants to get on the right side of the narrative, right? How does he do that? Is there a way for him to do that? I don't know. Let me know. Somebody's got to help him. It's not going to be me, clearly, because I'm the dog over here. Banco, again, I want to thank you because I know you sent this to me. Thank you so much, Banco. Shout out to you and thank you for supporting my channel. But you're right, it's a ridiculous conversation. Let's hit play.
On my blog. You can go buy that. That report is not secret.
Yeah.
And in fact, the detective.
Not always. Not always. Some information if he wanted to make a point of putting that police report up, not that I would advise him to have done that, he could have redacted a lot of information and he didn't. He got a lot of pushback and he took it down. So my understanding, he says here that the officer called and whatever told him to took it down and that's what made him take it down. That's my understanding of it. But I don't know.
When I was mentioning earlier, I spoke to him. He said, look, would you mind taking that off your blog, even though you had, I know where you got this from. I think that we gave it to you.
Yeah.
But, and in any event, anybody can just go buy it from the LAPD. But
he says, I know where you got this from. I think we gave it to you. Why does he have it? What did he have it for the production company? Were they holding on to these documents? I mean, I'm surprised that they would hold something like this versus not having this affidavit, right?
For a reason that he gave me, that I don't want to go into here. He asked me if I would be willing to either remove it or redact it for certain information.
Remove it or redact it. He could have redacted it. Okay.
Contained in there. And I said, of course, if that's
like full names, addresses, details like that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Okay.
Something that you feel will be helpful, of course.
And you've now removed it, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that answers that.
Okay, that answers that. Okay.
I think we should wind up. I think I've taken enough of your time and energy for today.
Yes, you have. All right, let me move on. And I'm only playing timestamps because I can only watch so much of John Atak's interview because really it's supposed to be a Mike Rinder answering to some of these allegations, but it became John Atak answering and giving a resume for all of us to understand and know. Okay, let's keep watching.
And in the British courts, that you are guilty when it is proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, I have looked at everything that's been sent to me, and I have not found anything that proves your guilt. I've seen a lot of speculation. He was the head of OSA,
Yes.
so he should have known. He was the head of OSA, so he must have done this. But
Yes.
as you said at the beginning of our conversation, that's an incredibly complicated situation where you've got hundreds and hundreds of organizations with all sorts of daily affairs going on, and this desire not to report, so there will be no record of the criminal activities of the different departments.
Mm.
And it's probably a lot more complicated than people realize. When I first went to East Grinstead in
Let me be very clear. Mike Rinder has never been charged with anything. Okay. So people just have questions. A lot of people have a lot of questions, right? But he has never been charged with anything, just like Dan Snyder, right? Hasn't been charged with anything criminally. But people have a lot of questions, right? And so this is why I make that comparison, because this week that other interview drops and now we have this one. It's just, it's interesting. Chili Beans, thank you so much for the 999. I was so disappointed watching this video. You're doing amazing work. I have really liked watching your content. Well, thank you. Appreciate you. No diplomacy, right? No diplomacy. For sure. Let's keep watching.
1975, I stayed in a house for months with a guy called Dave Cusworth, and
Mhm.
he kept going away for 2 or 3 days and then coming back. I had no idea until after I'd left Scientology that he worked for Branch 1. He was being sent to foreign countries to perform criminal acts, I believe, from what I was
Mm.
told. I don't want Dave to sue me. And then he'd come back looking very sleepy and realizing just how complicated this intelligence network was. Lawrence Wright says there were 5,000 people working in it. I think he's got, I don't know where that came from. It was
Can we
never
just
quite
get to
that
the
bad, but there
point?
was certainly,
Right.
more than 100 people in the French, British, Canadian, German governments, Italian, Spanish, wherever you go. I've talked with those agents of those governments over the years and found out about infiltration. It's a very complicated
Mhm.
organization. So if there is proof beyond a reasonable doubt, I would say that in the next month, next 2 months, it would be possible for anybody who's a witness, anybody.
Oh man, because that's just like that's the time frame, right? I mean, how long has it taken Miriam at this point? Anybody counting? How many years? What? Just wondering. Grandma Matilda says, "Thank you so much for the 199." For a reason, he doesn't want to go into it. Why? Thank you so much for the 199. I love your avatar, by the way. Can I please be a rabbit, ready to go on war for your channel at any cost, Blake? Shout out to Blake. You're so sweet. Don't go to war.
Who wants to come forward to contact Mirriam and give her the information they have. And if charges are to be filed, they should
You're
be
right.
filed.
It
If
should.
there are no charges to be filed, then you are innocent until proven guilty.
Nobody's. This is the part that really bothers me because it's like they're twisting the words that have been put out there. Nobody has said that Mike Rinder has done anything to a child or has done anything physically or anything to Miriam. Like I'm confused by this. And thank you, Mr. John, for letting us know the obvious that we know, right?
So I just like to emphasize that and go back to the beginning of the conversation. There are perhaps 4,000 slaves in Scientology.
Mm.
They should be our focus. And all of the crimes should be our focus. But these people are on a daily basis right now being harmed. That's why the Aftermath Foundation came into being,
Oh,
which was
Lord.
started by Luis Garcia and Aaron Smith Levin. Yeah.
Get this.
Yeah.
That's shorthanding. Yes.
Yeah.
It was started by Aaron Smith Levin and Luis Garcia. Sit on that. Okay? That's all you could have said. Go ahead.
Actually, and me.
Okay.
And
Because
me.
the reason
Get for those that are coming in here and saying, Rabbit, this is just drama. And I love your channel. But y'all go check on Mike, see if he's okay. I know. Me too, Mina. Me too. I said, oh my God. He could have ended it there, but they kept going. So, really, a lot of this is stemming from that. That's what this is. Okay, let's hit play.
it's called the Aftermath Foundation is because it was the effort was to get me and Leah both involved in it.
Because he was the celebrity, they're both celebrities, and the effort of calling it that is to get them involved. Leah's not a board member, is she? He is, but she wasn't.
Okay.
And we
Mhm.
were the sort of impetus for it. Anyway, I didn't even want to get into that in great detail. Yeah.
the
Okay,
pur-
so the Aftermath Foundation started. Yes.
Yes, you were a part of beginning that, and the objective of the Aftermath Foundation is to help people to escape from Scientology and to help them to recover from Scientology. And a lot of people have been helped, and
Mhm.
hopefully a lot more will be. I
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that a lot of people, but of course, is Mike Rinder going to be, telling folks who got the most money or who they helped more or whose signature was what? Is that what he's going to be doing now at this point with these emails? Don, thank you for the $5. Miriam's comment on this video was so on point in calling them out, standing up for herself. So sad to have her go through this. Yes. And let me just say this. I did reach out to Miriam. This is not the only reaction that we're going to have. I'm going to bring Miriam on during the week. We just have to find some time during the week to talk about it. Because like I said, if I want to do 100 videos, that's what advocacy is. I don't just do a video when it pleases you, when it's okay with you, or you don't like this content, well then there's other videos that I don't see you at that you can watch, right? So please note that if I do this video and then I need to do 100 more or 10,000 more, then that's exactly what I'm going to do, unapologetically, without permission. Ken, thank you for the $5. I appreciate you. Thanks, Rabbit. It's a PR video without the PR part. Poorly poor PR part. And thank you, Don, again for the $5. Yeah, Miriam's comment on this video was on point. I saw her comment calling them out, standing up for herself. So sad she had to do this. I stand with Miriam. Yeah, it's what it is. Fleaboard Warrior, thank you so much for the $2. From now on, Rabbit shall be the bunny poppy. Never heard of a bunny poppy. I don't know. I don't know. Let me hit play.
I've known you for what, 3-4 years now. Nothing you have ever said to me has proved to be untrue.
Nothing.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. I try to be.
That's it, y'all. We can go home now, just like Dan Schneider. All right? Nothing is untrue. You can trust John Atack. He just told you he wrote a gazillion books about it. Artie, thank you so much. He says, Mr. MR, unaware that he was the big bad of OSA, of Church of Scientology, and whether the people in the church knew him or not, that when they get out, he's hardly a beacon of hope. Yeah. Just makes you want to tell your story to a Mike Rinder, right? Because, it's not going to be in an email and it's not going to be held against you. Yeah, no.
Be as absolutely frank and honest and straightforward as I possibly can. I know that memories are not necessarily accurate. I even
Memory is
wrote in
not
the beginning.
videotape. No.
I even wrote in my book at the beginning, the sleep deprivation that goes on in the Sea organization, particularly at the top, is horrendous and it is endemic. And by definition, sleep deprivation fuzzes your brain
Yes.
and memory. And so there is always the chance that my memory is not perfect. In
Okay,
fact,
let's go. Hurry
I
up.
would say there's more than a chance that my memory is not perfect.
Just like everybody else.
Right. But I try to be as carefully accurate and truthful as I possibly can. And
Oh my God. I cannot. Let me shout out a couple of people here. Let me stop right there because I do have to shout out you guys. I'm sorry. Wim gifted 5 memberships. Wim, thank you so much for gifting. Always supporting my channel. If you guys got a membership from Wim, put a heart in the chat. I didn't want to miss you. Mythical, thank you for becoming a member. Chrissy, I'm so sorry. I missed this one. Thank you for your $10 super sticker. You are loved. Thank you so much for always supporting my channel, love. Shout out to you. Nancy Alley being a member for 2 months. Thank you. Wim, again, thank you. And thank you for being a new member. Let me see who else. I don't want to miss folks. You guys, I know I'm like into a mode right now. Terry, thank you for becoming a new member. Shout out to you. Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Again, thank you. Fleaboard Warrior, everybody. Yo, Terry, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Panko, Terry, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. If you guys got a membership from all the gifters, please put a heart in the chat. Panko, Rabbit, I believe that it was it was important for you to review this and give your opinion as you have been reporting on this from day one. I really appreciate your insight. Michael, thank you so much for the 99.99 super chat. You are so sweet. Thank you, love. Shout out to you. And I appreciate you saying that because like I said, people will try to make you feel like it's drama, it's not your place, it's not no, it's not. And thank you. Thank you for giving me the likes and the views. You guys are awesome. And Bunk, thank you again. Thank you. All right, let's keep watching this. I need a drink of coffee.
I appreciate you recognizing that. Before all this latest blow up, we have
Latest.
had some pretty intense
Yes. Hold up. Let me get to the point.
discussions about all sorts of different things, and not being under the
Hurry
sort
up.
of in the
Let's go.
crosshair target during all those times. It's nice to know that you see things that way, and that whatever. Thank you for saying that.
You've also never once, and this is our 13th conversation, refused to answer a question.
Right.
And I've never had any sense. I perhaps understand your situation a little better than many people because
Yes.
I was.
You've always also stroked my ego. With a lot of ego stroking here. It's all good.
Harassed on a daily basis for 16 years, and I know that you know how that works. And so when you stood up, you took your life in your hands. When you put your head above the parapet, you knew that you were going to have a very hard time. It would have been so easy to just walk away because in 40 years, I've interviewed a number of people who worked in branch one or investigation.
Yes.
And you're the only one who's gone public in all that
Wow.
time and taken the risk of prosecution if that was there. And I applaud your courage.
These are two men giving each other flowers. Shout out to them. Perspective. I started at 5013C and we received over 100K in the first year. This 200 is lost to us. They're a business first and foremost if they want to just buy victims Happy Meals as helping wow, your comment is very interesting. He's clearly not willing to see the situation from any other perspective other than his own, or Pamela, for those that and anybody else that sees it like him. That's how it is. This whole interview is nothing. MR is jealous of Aaron's success. MR doesn't understand. So a lot of people have said that. Kate, thank you for becoming a new member. Shout out to you. It, it can't get any, like, I don't know if it can get, let me stop because I really don't know if it can get any worse. It's a lot. Is it Cahoots? Cahoots? Is that how you say that? Shout out to you. Thank you for becoming a new member. Thank you. I try to speed this up. Y'all can watch it in its full length if you want to. It's Donna. It's a very disturbing bromance for sure. Okay, but we're expecting this to be unbiased. Again, let me remind everybody. Mirriam Francis asked John to put some questions to Mike Rinder. Here is his responses. So, yeah, you take it for what it's worth.
And Shakespeare said,
"Oh Lord, not Shakespeare.
The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred within their bones."
Okay.
And Mirriam Francis makes the point that we have to consider the bad as well as the good.
Yep.
And she's right. But we also have to consider the good as well as the bad. You reached millions of people through the Aftermath show. It changed the landscape.
We gave flowers.
The American public and more widely in the world, people understood what Scientology has been and what it's done. And it slowed them down tremendously. I think, in L. Ron Hubbard's terms.
Oh my God. All right.
And the misperception of what
I had to stop. There's too much. Okay, let's keep going. Last part.
He did. But the word victim to a Scientologist is one of those words. And accepting that we were, by dictionary definition, victims of Scientology can be an important step in growing and saying, I didn't ask for this to happen to me. I didn't subscribe to this. It was done to me, and therefore exposing those who committed that.
Did John Atack join as an adult or as a child? Was he born into it? See, I'm not familiar with. I know he writes a bunch of. I mean, he just gave me his whole resume. Let me know.
Abuse, whoever they are, wherever they are. Okay, It's always a pleasure, Mike. Lovely to see you, and I'm so
Lovely to
glad
see you.
that you're recovering. It's wonderful. And
Mhm.
please, you know, go, whoever's watching this, go away and think about this, and think about the approach that we're advocating, which is not snark. It's not.
Oh, this is interesting. Y'all said that as an adult. So, ooh, I just don't know if John understands, right? Like, if he could truly empathize with Mirriam without really separating this friendship right here. Okay.
Attacking. It's not calling David Miscavige the asthmatic dwarf or stuff like this.
Mhm.
This is, there's serious business here. There are people who need help, and so we
Yes.
should take the view of tolerance and kindness.
This is serious business. Okay? People need help. Y'all heard that? Serious business.
And expose those who have committed the crimes. And if that was Mike and I have no evidence that would stand up in a court of law, but if you have that evidence, provide it to Mirriam, and we'll go with it. And let's
I
also,
would just add to that, John.
Yeah.
You don't even have to provide it to Mirriam. Go to law enforcement.
Law enforcement.
It's not, Mirriam isn't the central collector of
No.
all criminal activities of Mike Rinder. That go to law enforcement. Go to the FBI. Go to wherever. Go to your local police department.
Yeah.
Go do it. I'm 100% in support of this campaign.
Okay, the campaign to get Mike Rinder.
Exactly.
The campaign to get Mike Rinder. Let me remind what the description says. Mirriam asked John to put some questions to Mike Rinder. Here are his responses. Oh. And he's been working with victims for 40 years. Did I hear that correctly? That's beautiful. This was so adorable, this part right here. Mhm.
Let's lynch him. Let's just lynch him and
Lynch him. Okay.
not bother with the facts, So,
Yep.
a great pleasure as ever. Thanks so much, Mike.
You're very welcome, John. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah.
Hi, John here. Thanks for watching. We'd appreciate it very much if you would click.
Hi, John here. Thanks for watching. Y'all can watch that. Check him out. I did give him credit in the description box. Unlike he didn't, he was talking about Mirriam, didn't put her channel in there. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about some of the comments here. And I know Mirriam left a comment. It was a very lengthy comment. Here it is. By the way, Mirriam's channel, which let me pull it up too, and let me also drop it in the chat so that everybody is aware. She's dropping information out there as well. One second. Against the arts. Mirriam's channel is Rage Against the Dark Arts. Okay. You guys make sure you go and sub up to her. Okay. This is her channel right here. I put it in the chat. Check it out. If Ahmad can drop the link as well, if that's easier, please and thank you. Anyways, and again, let me show it real quick here before we go to that comment. This is Mirriam's channel. Check it out. Very cool name. I like the name of it. Let's talk about this comment right here, and that is, hey Poe, shout out to Poe in the chat. Let me read this comment that she left. Okay, she says, this is Mirriam. She says, my criminal case is against the perpetrator of sexual assault, not Mike Rinder. At the time, 2017, I did not know that Mike could have known anything about it because he told me he knew nothing about it. Your point on me being bullied by the producer into giving more details about the child sexual abuse that I experienced than I was comfortable with, saying that I exposed myself to that situation. So it's my fault? Are you trying to say that I pulled it in? No, I should not have been pressured into giving details that I repeatedly said I did not want to give. Any lawyer or law enforcement official would have advised the victim not to give public detailed description of the crimes while a case, criminal or civil, is active. Yeah, keep that in mind. Okay? Let's keep going. Oh, and by the way, there was a comment that John Atack made. Production was stopped for Mirriam so that they could report it. That cost them thousands and 10,000s. And so what? Who cares? Did you pay it, John Atack? No. Did they have any, like, and I wasn't clearly, I don't know what production looked like, but I don't know if they had any counselors on staff while these people were telling their stories in the aftermath show. Do they have any therapists to help with that? Any counselors? Anybody maybe trauma informed? No, they had the two people that were leading this and making sure that they, told their story and they were right on time and right on production and whatnot. I don't know. That's my understanding. I mean, they could have had a therapist there to assess that. So you stopped production. Did you pay for that, John A. Tech, or did you just have to mention that? Okay, got it. Nora said no. I should ask that question to Nora. I'm kind of wondering. I don't know if she's done a response to this, but I would like to know, did they have any actual professionals while these victims were telling their stories? Hmm, Okay. Okay, CCHR operates under the direction of OSA International. Mike was Jan Eastgate's boss. I will be sharing some of the many directives from Mike Rinder's personal documents. Carmen's stepfather was not convicted. He was given a good behavior bond by police. Seems that the head of the intelligence arm of Scientology knew nothing about anything, but Mike Rinder OSA documents tell a different story. Mike Rinder transferred my mother in 1988 while he was setting up the LHR Life exhibition. The update of What is Scientology book occurred several years later. Yes, she did those paintings. That does not mean that her history and involvement with CCHR and OSA did not occur. The other woman was Saina, is it Kumala? I think that's how you say her name, Saina Kumala, Kamula, Saina Kamula, excuse me, who was present when my LAPD police report was taken. Mike Rinder doxed her personal identifying information, including her date of birth, address, phone number, when he published my LAPD report online and did not redact her details. But now he doesn't want to say her name. I don't want to mention her name, but now he doesn't want to say her name. On the statement, on the statement by Mike Rinder, quoting the LAPD police detectives in my case, that when he took my statement in 2017, that I didn't understand that I was a victim, then why did I do a police report in Australia in 2012 detailing the fact that I was a victim, explaining how that makes explain how that makes any sense? So they didn't understand that we're victims, but it was through the show that they understood that we're victims. And yet she did a report in 2012. So she knew she was a victim. That's interesting. Okay. When you post my LAPD report online, when you posted my LAPD report online, were you being helpful then? And why did the LAPD detective contact you? It was because I told him that you posted my police report online. He called you to tell you to take it down. Mm. No, no, anyone cannot just go and buy a police report in an active case of child sexual abuse. That is true. So I believe in children, it's different in terms of FOIA. I don't know if they can release that. But as far as police reports, people can FOIA them. I just don't know. And specifically for this one, I don't think it applied. Like for kids, I believe you can't just buy them. This report was given to him. He didn't buy it. Why did he keep it? But yet we can't find this affidavit. It's weird. Okay. So, according to the California law, you can only receive a crime report if you are an authorized person, such as a victim, the victim's representative, or provided in Section 654, 625.4 of the Government Code. Mike Rinder, you are not my representative. I never accused Mike Rinder of criminally assaulting a child. I have never asked that question nor made that allegation. So, John Atack, why did you ask that question? If Miriam is saying she never asked that question, why did you ask that question? Why are you trying to misrepresent the person in your description that says Mirriam Francis asked John to put some questions to Mike Rinder? Here is his responses. Why would you intentionally misrepresent? And you've worked with victims 40 years? Okay. All right. Let me stop. Let me stop. Hold up. Let me see. Where do I leave off? I don't want to lose my space. I totally did. When you posted my LAPD online on my statement, hold up, hold up, hold up. When you posted my LAPD report, you were being helpful then. Okay, I read that part. I never accused Mike Rinder of criminally assaulting a child. I have never asked that question nor made that allegation. Mike Rinder did cover up abuses for thousands of children for decades, but apparently that's all justified because the two of you believed it was okay, no matter the motivation to commit a crime. It is still a crime. What about the OSA drill that Matt Pesh described to remove victims and perpetrators outside of the jurisdiction of the committed crime? Who created the OSA drill? Mike Rinder OSA documents contains orders, directives, programs that Mike Rinder wrote long after Hubbard was dead. There's no doubt that there is no doubt that my mother is a talented artist, which by the way, like, okay, we get it. Y'all kept talking about that over and over. But she was not lying when she told me that she was working for CCHR in OSA, doing work against a psychiatrist when she flew to Los Angeles in 1984 and 1986. I said that the full story of what happened to the children remains unseen and unheard because the adults perpetrators continue to justify the abuses of those children. I did not say that my story was unseen and unheard. I think my point had been thoroughly proven. Stop twisting my words to support your narrative. So dangerous, right? And you should definitely see the comments, right? Because you got the apologists. Mike Rinder would never. Mike Rinder is a Mother Teresa saint. Mike Rinder, Mm. But you know what? It is what it is, right? It is what it is. Sad. It is what it is. It's what people want to make it. It's what how people want to digest it, what they want from it. Okay? It's okay. It's all good. I want to make a quote. Actually, no, not make a quote. I want to read a quote. Excuse me. Um, Emotional intelligence, okay, more than any other factor, more than an IQ, okay, it accounts for 85% to 90% of success at work. IQ is a threshold competence. You need it, but it doesn't make you a star. Emotional intelligence can. And I think that that's what's missing. And it really, really does make me sad for that whole group right there. The incompetence, the inability to hear, listen, seek to understand. Kathy, thank you for the 5. Says, why were Masterson's victims deserving of such support and Miria isn't, Mike Rinder? What makes one victim worthy over another? All victims matter. So that is my reaction. I suggest you guys go watch. I only played portions of it. I would hate for people to say, well, she's only playing, she edited this or edited that. No, go watch the whole video. It's in the description box. Y'all go check it out. Check it out. Make up your own conclusion in mind. I mean, to me, it's a lot of nothing. It's two friends, this bromance that's existing, and that's what it is. It's an organization, it's a foundation that's so far removed from the people that it says it helps. Okay? Don't forget the screenshot of that comment. Which screenshot? Let me know. Hold up. Are you talking about which one? The screenshot of that comment. Hold up. Let me see. I don't want to leave without the screenshot of that comment. Which one are you guys? Which one are you talking about, Pika? Let me know. It's incompetence, that's for sure. It's a lot of, yeah, re-victimizing. Remember, it would be irrational for MR to fight for the end of the oh yeah, there's that too. If you had done something wrong, right? That's interesting. The further news, the further interviews, cloud chasing at its finest. Ooh, I missed it, Pika. You're gonna have to let me know later. I missed it. I do want to say something though before I head out. Somebody made a Babu comment, and I really like their comment. They said, damn it, I'm gonna miss this comment. Yeah, I'm gonna miss it. Sorry. I don't, there should be more organizations. I know Aaron's is starting up here pretty soon. Shout out to him. But like I said, there should be more people specialized in this, more organizations. Yeah. Rosemary J, thank you for being a member for 2 months. Thank you. Shout out to you. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. If you have not watched a lot of the videos that really sparked a lot of this was at the very beginning. I'll make sure I put it in the description box so you guys can understand what's going on. When Mirriam spoke on my channel, I'm gonna try to, like I said, this week we'll probably have Mirriam on so she could speak on, you know, her thoughts on it and help her as much as we can. And again, for the people that are saying, "Well, not this again, not this again," it's again, and you don't have to watch. Okay. I will see you guys on the next one. You guys have a great Sunday. All right. Stay blessed. Do what you got to do. And shout out to all the dogs out there. Shout out to all the flea bore warriors. Shout out to the dogs and the fleas and the birds and the bees. I don't know what else. It's spring. Shout out to everybody. You guys have a great day. Bye. Rabbits out.